what you have seen earlier is a video I did when I went to a nearby offshore beach at St. John's Island, an island called St. John's Island, and I thought that it will not be crowded on a weekday. It was Monday when we went, but the ferry was surprisingly full, and on the beach itself there were quite a lot of people, and the beach was a little it's quite a small one and narrow, so it got filled up pretty quickly. Right now in the world is that we are also deprived that any places will do, and if during the usual times I won't even have thought about going to a beach in my own country, because it's just not very it's not, the beaches here are not really clean and the waters are not clear. But although you can see in the video it's very clear, but on a side of the beach you can see a lot of litter, and it's quite sad to look at it. So you see some cuts here and may wonder why am I doing putting them up. It's because for me, nature, not only is it a nice way of recharging after a day at work, for example, it is also essential to my spiritual or tarot practices. And during this period where we have to stay in our own country, stay in our homes, I find myself being cut off from nature a lot, even though for Singapore we are called the garden city. The nature here is just not very together. So you can see a lot of trees, a lot of greenery, but they are like little islands dotting the whole landscape, and it's not a huge consolidated place. So it feels like the nature here is a little broken into pieces. And when I went to the beach in such a long time, I also get to think about what am I going to put out on YouTube, and how to reconnect with some of the images in my tarot decks. So during the pandemic, during this time, I have forgotten that nature is not a very kind place. So on the beach itself, it is not a huge stretch, like I say, and it's quite narrow. So if you walk from the grass to the sea itself, is maybe the length of this tower you're seeing, so it's very short. And so we have to put our picnic mats on the grass nearby, and very soon there were flies and ants crawling out over our bags and our shoes, and we were sitting under a tree, and of course we can see a lot of butterflies and even flies and strange cockroach-like things. So sitting under the shade while we were eating, I realized again in such a long time after being kept at home that nature is not very pretty like what we see in this High Priestess of the 12th deck. So this is what you usually see. We think that nature is very very lush food for us, but behind that is the mistress of the wildlife, Artemis herself, and I expect that behind her we can see the true nature of the natural world, that it may not be as pretty and lush, it may even be a bit cruel and gruesome, which was what I experienced as I was having picnic by the beach. So it's kind of like, yeah, there were a lot of flies, blue bottles, things, insects that breaks down things, so I got this sense. And the beach was, the St. John's Island itself houses a marine park, and I went there before once to look at research center there, and I know that there are a lot of casuarina trees over there. So as I was walking from the jetty to the beach, passing by the stretches of casuarina trees and the mangroves, I thought of the emperor cut in the wild unknown, of the trees that are just standing there underneath the sun with their strength and their silence, not judging. We sit under the shade of the trees during the picnic and didn't get very sunburnt. It's the sea. I also thought of the Mary L, the Four of Cups here. The sea was very beautiful, so the blueness, the water is quite blue for our Singapore seas. And what I love about standing by the sea and letting the wave wash over my legs is that it gives the feeling that the sea is breathing. So although the waves were not as big as what is depicted here in the card, I feel connected to the sound of the wave, the vastness, and the eternity of the sea and each tide coming in, and not experience lots of fishes swimming near the shorelines because the water there is very clear. I managed to see a few species of fishes around me, and one was quite transparent, and I didn't manage to see it until I saw the shadow cast by the sun onto the sea, the sand underneath, and I realized that there's a fish there. So I also, while I was thinking about reflecting on the experience of going to the beach after a long while, I also thought of this card, the Chariot, the wild unknown, the nature outside of us, recharging what is inside. And of course, I'm a horse baby, so I love this picture, this drawing here. So I wanted to just tie some things I experienced recently to the tarot, and I hope I did make you think a bit more about nature and the tarot. So thank you for listening to me.